we kind of expected that once the floodgates open, things would not stop flowing. And that has been the case for the last 24 hours as more new details on the Switch 2 have arrived, this time directly from another accessories manufacturer. Don't know why they're risking the biscuit here, but they've brought us exciting information and I'm so pumped to cover it with you. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Welcome to this fun weekend edition of the show where we get to talk about more of what makes the Switch 2 a new system, features, backwards compatibility, new buttons, and much more. This system sounds like it is getting a big upgrade. So what's going on already? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Let me know in the comments down below which of these new features you're most excited for and if any of them make you worried. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, let me give you some credibility here. Pioro himself, the legendary bird with the word about all the Nintendo Directs, has commented on these leaks. Now, the leaks themselves come from MobaPad, who is a Switch accessories manufacturer. You can get their controllers on Amazon. They look decent. I hope that they don't get shut down. That would suck, but I also don't understand why they are posting this. Nonetheless, Pioro says he's heard about this information. He tweeted, "It appears that this info has been divulged to some manufacturers and Nintendo influencers in China for a while. Such info has been mentioned in some private discussions, while my main source can't verify it." Now, Pioro is basically saying that his personal source can't verify this info, but he has heard it circulating. He has heard that it's been divulged to some manufacturers and influencers in China, and he's heard it in private discussions. He followed this up by stating, such info has been mentioned in some private discussions before this report, indicating that he's heard this information, this exact stuff, before today, which I think adds a bunch of credibility and makes it seem that much more real. If Pioro is willing to comment on it, we're in dangerous territory, and dangerous of this being the Switch 2 and Nintendo's extreme efforts to keep this thing on lockdown via black boxes and all sorts of Nintendo Ninja antics. It's starting to crumble. So what do we got going on here? We know that yesterday we talked a lot about the magnetic Joy-Con. We talked about the fact that the Pro Controller would carry over and work on Switch 2, and this information came from Vandal, a Spanish video game website, who was getting their scuttlebutt from accessories manufacturers that they had contacted before and who correctly provided Switch OLED details before that iteration released. Now we have this set of 6 big bullet points. 1, the Bluetooth chip of Switch 2 still supports existing Joy-Con and Pro controllers and still features HD vibration. Now this is very good news, and it basically confirms what I was hypothesizing yesterday. If the Pro controller can work wirelessly with the Switch 2, even if the Joy-Con are magnetic and therefore our rail-based Joy-Con can't slide onto the Switch 2, I bet they can connect Bluetooth. And this states just that all of our Joy-Con and Pro controllers will wirelessly work with the new Switch, which I think is a huge win. That's Nintendo saying, hey, you spent a ton of money on our Joy-Con or Pro controllers. I got a bunch of Joy-Con. I got a bunch of limited edition Pro controllers. I bet you have some controllers as well. This is a nice cost-saving move if all of them can carry over. Now, the Joy-Con can't slide on, and that's because this MobaPad report further doubles down that the new Joy-Con are larger and magnetically attached to the console. They go on to say, though, that the SL and SR buttons are metallic now, which I think is freaking neat. I think this shows that Nintendo wants to upgrade the system, the overall feel, and make it seem like a more elite, higher-end piece of hardware. And that's probably necessary given it's going to cost a lot of money. The Switch 1 is all plastic, and I don't think it feels like cheap or light, but we have since seen handheld PCs kind of up the ante when it comes to quality and sort of, just like that feel of like, oh, this is a high-end product. Nintendo going with metallic buttons might be a small twist, but I think it's a fun one and shows that they are trying to bring us a better system all around. Now, it gets even crazier because they state that there's a new button behind each Joy-Con and a new button below the home button on the right Joy-Con. So this would be 3 additional buttons for controller layouts. Who knows what they do? I think it's an interesting exercise to hypothesize, especially that right Joy-Con button below the home button. Why would it just be a singular button? It must not be for games. It must be for UI or Switch 2 controls over, like the system controls, right? Not just the game controls. The buttons on the back could just be additional layout options, more accessibility, but this one below the home button, what do you think it could do? I'm very excited that the Joy-Con are being remade larger, better, magnetic. I hope that that works out in our favor, and I hope that they have done everything they could to prevent freaking drift. The leak goes on to state the dock still has a USB-C port and will also support 4K image output. So get ready to see Mario's hat and all the fibers that make it up. This is awesome, and I cannot wait to get our first glimpses of Nintendo characters in 4K. A lot of this report really goes along with things that we've heard, and that's what makes me believe it even more. You got Pioro saying he's heard this. We have it lining up with other reports. We've got it lining up with Vandal's report just from yesterday, and MobaPad is an actual Switch accessory manufacturer, so they would probably know. They continue on saying that the new kickstand has a damping bracket on the back for improved angle alignment, so we will be able to adjust our Switch better as it's playing in tabletop mode, and that the screen is bigger, up to 8 inches, and the resolution is upgraded to 1080p. Now that is gonna be spicy. If we can get 4K output on the dock, 1080p in handheld, this is the Switch that we've been waiting for. This is the Switch that we've been hoping for. A Switch with upgraded Joy-Con, a Switch with awesome Bluetooth support of your old controllers, a Switch with 1080p, and guess what? A Switch 2 that has backwards compatibility with Switch 1 cartridges, but Switch 2 cartridges will be different and won't fit on the Switch 1. This seems just like the carryover from the DS to the 3DS, where we got that extra notch so that the 3DS carts physically could not fit in your old DS system, but the DS carts could still play on the 3DS. Backwards compatibility is something we've heard rumored before, and this would be another huge win for those of us, 140 million of us, that invested heavily into the Switch 1 ecosystem. Our controllers can carry over, thank goodness. Our games can carry over, thank goodness. But I wonder how this Switch 2 cartridge is different. Is it just going to add a notch? Is it going to have some weird sort of like angle? Like what are they going to do to make it not fit in the Switch 1 but fit in the Switch 2? And will they allow our Switch 1 digital games to carry over to the Switch 2 as well? If the carts work, the eShop stuff better work as well. That would be a huge misstep, and I think this is going to encourage so many early Switch 2 adopters by letting your controllers, letting your games all carry over. Now, this doesn't mean that every Switch 2 game won't play on Switch 1 because there's still the potential for cross-gen titles. And the way this would work is actually good with what this report states, because if you bought a Switch 1 cross-gen game, let's say you bought like Mario Party a bajillion, Mario Party 12, Mario Party, I don't know, what, Super Mario Party 2 on Switch 1, and it was cross-gen with Switch 2, then when you bought a Switch 2, it would work on the Switch 2 because the cartridge can fit. But if you bought a Switch 2 cart, you couldn't play it on your Switch 1. So to me, this does sound like a great way to encourage you to buy a Switch 2, but to also allow for the possibility for cross-gen games if Nintendo decides to go that route. We know Sony and Microsoft did, so it'll be interesting to see if Nintendo does opt to have some games that you can sort of bring with you if you choose to adopt the new generation later. I think all of these are great pieces of news, and if this all comes together, I think the Switch 2 is shaping up really nicely. Now, MonoPad does note that they have more information coming in early May, which is very bizarre. If we consider Nintendo's investors call on May 7th, is all of this happening for a reason? Is Nintendo about to unveil something about the Switch 2, and that's why these accessories manufacturers are finally coming forth? Now, that could be a wide range of things. Furukawa could just say, we're working on new hardware, or they could freaking show a trailer. Anything is possible, although I'd lean more towards the former rather than the latter. But maybe Nintendo just had some big briefing with accessories manufacturers, and they're spilling the beans. Does this mean that we are close to them actually producing these accessories, or is it really far off? I don't think anybody knows. I'll let you know that Piora himself never confirmed the Switch 2 internal delay to 2025. Very odd. He confirms that he's heard these reports, but he didn't confirm anything about the Switch 2 being delayed. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be crazy to find out what happens. Nintendo has been in super quiet mode, and maybe this is a sign that they're about to start squawking. The bird is talking, MonoPad is talking, Vandal and their connections are talking. Who is next? And why do they have more information in early May? And what will it be? Do you believe in all of these updates? Metallic SLSR, extra buttons on the Joy-Con, a 4K dock, a 1080p handheld screen, and all that compatibility with your Switch 1 stuff. I really like where this is going. I really like where it's heading. It is in leak/rumor territory for now, but the fact that we had the Vandal report yesterday, which I feel is very credible based on their OLED leaks, and the fact that Piora was commenting on this saying that even though he can't verify it personally, he's heard it before today. I don't know, friends. I think this is all gonna be legit for Switch 2. I think we're really starting to get a great picture of this system, and if it can bring the internal oomph alongside these external changes, I'm telling you, I still believe the Switch 2 can be better, stronger, and more impressive than the Switch 1 and sell phenomenally well despite the expected drop-off. Give us great games, give us a super sweet system, come at a decent price point, regular releases, we're golden. New Mario Kart, new Mario, new Zelda, new Smash, new Animal Crossing, how could you skip it? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, everybody. I find this to be so awesome. Can't wait to bring you whatever happens next. And until that time, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. SwitchForce out.